Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, LinkedIn, and welcome to ThinkSpace, a very grand name for what is essentially me sitting in a cottage in Martinborough with a cup of tea on a bit of a retreat. I'm taking a bit of time this week, an entire week, Monday through Saturday, to finish my second book, which is very exciting. I'd love to know where you're all tuning in from. So let's get some action in the comments. This is a conversation, not a lecture. Where are you all watching from? Are you in New Zealand? Are you in Australia? Are you also in a cottage in the middle of nowhere? Are you at work? I'd love to see it. So I've been here since Monday, and I wouldn't say I'm going crazy. But I am talking to myself more than usual, and this does not feel like an exception to that. And I started making up little songs yesterday. I was working on the chapter on my book about decision making, and I made up a little song about making bad decisions. So who knows? Maybe that'll go in the promo for the book. Cool. So we've got Nikki here from Lower Heart. Karen's watching from Wellington, and so is Amy. Hi team. Shane is not in a cottage. Look, it's pretty cute. If you see my background, it's probably not what you'd imagine my house to look like, and you would be correct. It's very quaint and on brand for the Wairarapa. Julian also in from Wellington. Yeah, it's been a bit wet here too. Oh, hi Hardis in Porirua. That's my hood. I live in Parimata, and my kids go to school in Whitby and Aotea, so I'm a Porirua local also. I had these plans that every morning would start out with some kind of contemplative walk, and the first day I was heading down doing my coffee runs on foot, but thanks to the rain, the cabin fever's really setting in. Oh, Paeroa, nice, welcome. So I've been thinking a lot this week because that's what I'm here for. I like to think I'm a bit like Warren Buffett. I'm not. Warren famously takes a few think weeks every year where he disappears for a week, not unlike this, to do some unstructured thinking. I'm not so good at the unstructured thinking. It has been a very structured few days. This is what happens when you need to finish a book. I came here with 50,000 words that I thought just needed some refining, and I'm now sitting at 80,000 words, which actually are probably better thinking than I've done for a long time, but it has been a very structured process. What do you guys do your best thinking? If it's not a cottage in Martinborough, tell me where you have your best ideas. I've done a bit of reading about this lately. And you've got everything from your classic Archimedes, who I mentioned on LinkedIn this week, who did his best thinking in the bath. I do a bit of good thinking in the bath. J.K. Rowling apparently wrote internally, at least, the guts of the first Harry Potter book on a 4-hour train ride. Where do you do your best thinking? I often have my best thoughts on a plane. I think there's something about being in a different place that enables you to get into a slightly different headspace. It's like a pattern interruption. And there's something about being in a different location that triggers a different part of the brain to think a little bit differently. I read a theory once that it's something to do with doorways and entrances. So you know how you walk into the kitchen from the lounge and you get there and then you stand there for a minute and you're like, what did I come in here for? That's a thing. It's the doorway effect. When we cross into a different physical location, we start to think a bit differently. Oh, running in the trails. Yeah, I have good ideas when I'm running too. I love to listen to a podcast when I'm running. Where there's no cell reception, you leave me alone. So one of the most beautiful things that has been part of my week this week has been switching off all my email notifications, switching off my software notifications, and sending a message to my EA to say, hey, if you really need me, you can send me a text. I'm checking those a few times a day, but the rest of it, I'm out. Up the top of Mount Kakao, out on a walk. Oh, I love it up there. I went on a really dicey run up there actually, Amy. maybe a year and a half ago, was one of those famously Wellington like 80k wind days, and we thought it would be a good idea to run to the top, and it was a very good idea, but it turns out kind of exposed up there, nearly died. Could be exaggerating. Oh, Shane, in the shower. I'm assuming that you spend some time on Reddit. /shower thoughts. I'd love to know some of your shower thoughts. Oh, offline at the beach, no cell phone reception. Yeah, I'm seeing a trend here, and it's something to do with being able to eliminate the distractions of our everyday life. I think it's really common for people to say that our attention spans are narrowing. And I don't know about you guys, but there's this statistic I've seen bandied around about how the average human attention span is now less than that of a goldfish. So a goldfish can focus for 9 seconds, and an adult can now only focus for 8. Turns out that's bullshit. I actually read some research about that a couple of days ago in the piece in my book on influence and how you capture the attention of others. And it turns out that fish actually have remarkable memories, goldfish included. They're very cool. Made me feel quite guilty about eating fish. And that also, it's not that our attention span is any shorter than it used to be, but it's that there's more competing for it. So there are a lot more potential distractions and content and information and people that now compete for our attention. So there's more news created than ever before. We've got more communication channels that are popping up and notifying us than ever before. We're expected to know more and to do more. And the cumulative impact of those pressures means that our collective attention span as a society is really condensed, because we're just trying to pack more in. So the ticket, if we're trying to take control of our attention and put our attention on a bit of a diet, is actually to see how we can minimize that noise. They don't remember me eating them, the fish. No, that's a good point. Memory in the afterlife, as far as I'm aware, not religious, not known for being great. So the book that I'm writing at the moment is about strategic leadership. It's where I play, it's what I do. And the working title, thanks to my 9-year-old, is From Action to Impact. And the strapline for that is The Strategic Leader's Guide to Doing Good Shit. And what I'm particularly interested in is the things that we don't teach. And I'd be really interested to know what you think some of those really important, untaught leadership skills are. And I'm kind of a latecomer to the leadership game, and it's almost an area that I felt a little bit reluctant to pigeonhole myself in for quite a long time. So my background is policy. My career has been largely in strategy and change. How do we make good decisions, planning for the future, designing and rolling out organizational change. That's where I play. And I was really reluctant to engage with the idea that what I did had anything to do with leadership. Leadership experts to me seemed kind of like the Tony Robbins of the consulting world, like a little bit snaky, a little bit slimy, lots of bright sounding frameworks and smart art diagrams, and very little that was useful on the ground. I think the other reason that I've been reluctant to use the word leadership until the last year or two is that I've always considered leadership to be about managing people. And if there is anybody that you shouldn't talk to about people skills, it is me. I can't stand them. I'm joking. I like you guys. But my skill set is absolutely not in managing and leading people. So I thought, well, who am I to tell anybody else about leadership? But I think it's different than that. And what's changed my mind is that the skills that I work on developing with executive teams and with middle managers are around strategic thinking, decision making, setting direction. So that's the strategy stuff, but also what the components of good organizational change are. So that's how we build really good systems. It's how we drive operational performance, and how we influence others to get on board with our ideas, how we're engaging. Turns out that stuff, it's leadership. And what I began to find quite frustrating 2 or 3 years ago was that as an outsourced strategist or an outsourced brain, people would bring me in to run their sessions and to contribute to their strategic ideas and strategic plans. And we'd do all this great work and come up with our plans and work out how we were going to roll out the change. But as soon as something shifted or something changed, they were back on the phone. Alicia, we need you to come back in and do a strategic reset. We need you to talk to our people about our new change initiative. We've got a new program coming online. We need some help to embed it. And yeah, look, it's good for business, but the frustrating thing about that is that there is the capability piece was lacking. So the ability to take what we'd learned through the process of making the decision and then take that forward so that we could respond when things changed, it wasn't there. So as part of those strategy sessions, what I started doing was a bit of the accountability coaching and a bit of the capability development stuff. So it was, hey, this is what a good decision looks like. Here's how we respond when things change. These are skills that you can use to engage people and to communicate well and to influence your stakeholders and create an impact. These are the systems that we need to set up to make sure that we're focused and make sure that we're enabling performance and that we're designing our environments in a way that make it possible for us to sustain our success even when we're not there. And it was through that path of doing those things that I realized that maybe I was playing a bit of a leadership game, and that actually maybe this stuff was kind of important and maybe we weren't actually doing enough of it. So the things that contribute the most to leadership success and to organizational success are the skills that are most in demand at the moment, right? So if you look at any of those future of work reports from the World Economic Forum, if you look at any of the stuff that's coming out of the big consulting houses, you know, Bain, Deloitte, McKinsey, they're talking about a certain skill set for the future. And they're talking about not knowledge-based skills, they're talking about critical thinking. They're talking about our abilities to be curious and to make connections and to understand how things fit together. Because if we take the Yuval Noah Harari view about the future of work and we concede that there's a lot of stuff we're doing at the moment that potentially could be automated, right? We've got technology and AI that's leaping ahead and it's taking away some of this simple and repetitive work, and it's taking some of the knowledge work. So manipulating information and working with data are skills that we've worked really hard as a workforce to develop, but they're things that we're probably not going to have to do, at least not after the next decade, because we can train smart software and technology to do that for us. The thing is, though, what we can't necessarily outsource yet is the power of our brain to see the unseen, to make connections between things that don't necessarily look like they're connected, which is the definition of creativity, right? We've made that really complicated. We've made innovation this really complicated thing that we think we need a lab for, and some American keynote speaker with a Madonna mic who just yells words like disruption into a conference room. But at its essence, creativity and innovation is about connecting things that we didn't connect before and understanding how they work together and using that to build something new. And those skills, that list that you look at from the 10 most in-demand skills on the Future of Work report, those seem to me to be the things that we kind of don't teach. If you look at the curriculum for an MBA, or if you look at your traditional leadership development arc in any organization, it tends to be around cementing technical knowledge and expertise. There's some stuff in there around working with people, which, as I've said, don't come to me for that. This book is not going to help you with that. I absolutely think it's really important to be empathetic and to be socially intelligent and to be able to lead people effectively and to build excellent cultures. I'm just not the person to tell you how, but I can direct you to people that can. I've gone off on a tangent. Right, so if we look at the traditional leadership arc, we teach the technical stuff, we teach a bit of the people stuff, and we're starting to do a bit of that kind of woke, navel-gazy, self-leadership stuff, right? So we look at how to know yourself, and we pick acronyms to describe our personalities and our working style, and we use DISC and Myers-Briggs and colours and auras and I don't know, all that kind of stuff. But there seems to be these massive gaps, and those massive gaps are around how to think, how to have useful conversations, how to take a step back and use what's been seen, I think, as very subject matter expertise based stuff, like systems analysis and systems thinking, like operational performance, but how to use that at a strategic level to create sustained success and to set us up so that we position for the future. And when I've sat down and looked at some of the MBA curriculum lists or some of the leadership development programs that are out there at the moment, they just seem to be a bit backward looking to me. And I think if there's anything we've learned, that I've certainly learned over the last few months and on an ongoing basis, it's that things are changing, and they're changing in ways we don't expect, and they're changing every day. And so having the skills that are the intangible assets that will set you up and position you to do well in that change, but also to continually build your value as a leader and as a person, means focusing on some other stuff. So for anyone who's still tuned in on my leadership rant, what do you think are the most important untaught skills for today's leaders? I'll keep an eye on the comments for this one because I'm really keen to hear what you've got to say. One of the skills, it's a really specific skill that I think is massively lacking, and I'm really enjoying doing some training in at the moment, is about how to have strategic conversations. Now, I'm biased because this is where I've spent so much of my career. It's my favorite thing to do. It's what I'm known for. But coming back to that kind of journey around how I wound up using the dirty L word, we tend to outsource the capability to run really important conversations. And so what we tend to do is we either fumble our way through and waste time in shit meetings that just relitigate things, go around in circles, people don't say what they really think, or we run an offsite and we bring in a facilitator to come and do it for us. But if you're a leader with any responsibility, or even if you're at a critical touch point in your position, in your job, whether it's as an advisor or a liaison officer or a policy analyst or whatever that looks like, having the capacity to run really good strategic conversations that enable people to focus and to make good decisions and to commit to action is so important, but we just don't teach it. So that's one of my soapboxes, and something that I think is a really critical untaught skill, and something that I'm now teaching people, which possibly will do me out of a job, but for the greater good as far as I can tell. Some of the other ones I think are how to think. So I consider myself one of the lucky people to have a BA. I think BAs are not trendy anymore. We've downsized the humanity departments at most of our universities, and there's been some really interesting controversy about this with some of the Australian universities. But I think that what a humanities degree gave me was how to think, was the capacity for critical thinking. So I couldn't tell you what most of the things I learned were, and nobody's ever really asked me what my degree's in. Turns out it doesn't matter that much. But the skills that I developed as part of that education around questioning and curiosity, reading between the lines, looking for the credibility of information. Those are things that you learn if you do a humanities degree or possibly a law degree when you need to construct an argument. And I did a couple of years of one of those, but don't seem to be skills that we teach in the workplace or skills that we teach to senior leaders. So what tends to happen is we have this weird attitude where we kind of treat it like it's an intuitive skill, like judgment or thought quality or decision making is something where you're just born with it or you're not. And that gets worse the more senior you become, because there's this kind of implication that you've been promoted on the basis of your ability to make good decisions. And it's a fascinating one to me, because what you end up with is these really important, highly paid chief executives, tier 2 leaders, politicians even, who actually they've just been winging it for the majority of their career. And when it comes time for them to face really tough choices, like in the last few months, it's what do we do with our workforce? What do we do with our operating model? Do we need to shut some stuff down? Do we need to make people redundant? Is our business sustainable? We don't have the skills to step through a really structured process to make that choice, because we've always done it on instinct. So I think that decision-making capability is probably the single most important untaught skill that I see in leaders. And it's the first pillar in my book, and gets the attention that it deserves, because the stuff isn't magic. We treat it like it's magic, and we treat it like it's art, you know? And I mean, the dirty truth behind art and behind music and photography and anything like that is that there are patterns. There are patterns and skills, and mastery is not a gift. It comes from work. And I think the same is so totally true for anything when it comes to making decisions, that you don't just have it, you learn it, you understand it, and you work at it. And when you understand what the rules are and how the patterns work, yeah, you can break some. You've got to know what they are first. I love your comment there, Mandy. Seeing challenges from multiple perspectives is what you think is a critical untaught leadership skill. Hell yeah. What have we got here? Too often leaders get tied up in their own view of reality, and having the courage to be open to others' perspectives and then synthesize them isn't common. Yeah, so it's kind of those two opposing kinds of thinking, right? It's the convergent thinking and the divergent thinking. So when we use divergent thinking, we go wide open. And when we use convergent thinking, we narrow and we synthesize. And building both of those muscles is really important, and it doesn't happen by accident. So I think when it comes to leadership and having an opinion or having a point of view, the first thing that I see around that is leaders without the confidence to challenge thinking, and that's the confidence to challenge their own thinking as much as it is to challenge anybody else's. So what we want are people that don't just have those skills around curiosity and critical thinking and creativity, but we want people that have the confidence to stand up with those views and to speak out. And groupthink is really hard to move against, because it's a survival instinct, right? We've evolved to prioritize belonging and social connection, because it used to be the only way we could survive. And what that means in an organizational setting or in a group setting is that it's really hard, if you think something isn't right, to be the person, the sole voice of dissent that goes, this doesn't make sense. And so part of it is developing the capacity and the confidence in your own thinking to be able to do that. But that doesn't just mean backing yourself. It means making it possible for other people to do that as well. And so that means gloriously looking for, actively looking for dissent and debate and rebuttal. Test me, prove me wrong. And it means supporting people that do that. You know, I think so often we see argumentative or negative or disengaged employees or stakeholders as something to manage and something to eliminate. But that's where the magic is, right? People don't get up in the morning and just decide to be an asshole for no reason. I mean, maybe some of them do, but most of them don't. You know, we should assume positive intent. If people are struggling with something, they've probably noticed something we haven't. And if they think it, other people are thinking it too, but they're just not saying it because of groupthink. So seeking dissent, orchestrating conflict, it makes our decisions better. It makes our thinking deeper. It builds trust. It's really important. So at the bottom of every page or every chapter as I'm writing this book, I have a rebuttal section in it. So it's trying to create some of that dissent internally, right? And go, how would I argue with this? What's the thing I've missed? Who's going to pick this up and go, Yeah, righto, Alicia, bullshit. And trying to do that and talking to people that I know don't agree with me is a really helpful way to do it, but it's not easy. I mean, you need to have confidence in your own thought process. You need to have humility and be able to back down from an idea. You need to be able to go, yeah, cool. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that is good. And if we take that and we apply that to this other thing, I often talk to my clients about the importance of being curious about all the ways that we're wrong that we don't know about yet. So when we make a decision or we try something new, rather than just looking for the stuff that works or trying to avoid the stuff that doesn't, what we're doing is we're trying to find the ways that we're wrong. We're looking for all the ways that we're about to fail that we haven't predicted. And when we find them, we're going, there you are. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. I thought it would be something else. Fascinating. And it's about that detachment and perspective and presence of mind. So I totally agree with you on that one, Mandy. That's awesome. All right, team. Well, we've been online for half an hour. And for those of you, and it's just so great to see you all, to join me for a yarn this afternoon. And actually to break my talking to myself pattern. At least I know that other people are watching this. So while I am just yabbering away, I am yabbering away to others. But this book's not going to write itself. I've been pulling 14-hour days a week, and I've probably got another couple ahead of me, so I'm going to get back to the grind. I'm currently writing the chapter on systems. So there are four pillars in what I see as the critical skills of a strategic leader, which is someone who's adaptive for the future and leads from a strategic point of view. And those are making good decisions, building powerful systems, driving operational performance, and having meaningful influence. I did influence on Monday. I knocked out decisions yesterday, and I'm currently on the systems chapter. So that's about removing yourself as a key person risk and transcending the hero model of leadership where it's like, nothing works without me, and moving past the people model of leadership, which is nothing works without them, and getting to the point of it works because we've designed our environment in a way that makes it possible. So I'm going to go and finish that chapter now, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it all with you. And I'm really grateful to all of you for tuning in for half an hour of random chats with me on a beautiful afternoon, albeit slightly rainy, in Martinborough. Thank you, Amelia, for coming along. That was great. Rob, absolutely agree on curiosity. Thank you for all of your comments. You've been wonderful. Have a great afternoon, everyone. See you later.